Welcome back to another look at another European retail market. Today, we're going to talk about some of the details that an expanding retailer must take into consideration when entering into Germany. Welcome to another edition of our European retail series on Where We Buy. This is the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. And I have two German retail experts who are joining me today. Welcome. First, we've got Aniko Korsos. Aniko, you are head of retail leasing in Germany for JLL. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And Aniko, you're joining us. You're based out of Frankfurt, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Right. And our other guest is no stranger to Where We Buy. It's Moritz Scharbatke. Moritz leads retail for Northeast Germany for JLL. Welcome, Moritz.
Hello, James. Hello, Aniko. And we're happy to be back.
Excellent. And Moritz, you're based out of Berlin, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. So for folks, let's start big picture. So Aniko, that's probably going to be for you. How would you describe the current retail landscape, we'll say in Germany, or if you want to talk about specific markets, go ahead. I'll leave it up to you to kind of direct the focus.
Yeah, the specialty in Germany we have compared to other countries that we not only that not only the capital city is of interest, we have top 5, or if we see it in the wider page, we have top 7 cities to consider for a company coming to Germany. And first of all, of course, Berlin is the capital, and it's very important to go there. But economically seen, the most interested city in Germany is Munich, in the south of Germany, because we have the highest purchasing power there and the highest traffic. And so every retailer who comes to Germany, if he decides to go into 2 cities, he will go to Munich and Berlin, because these are the most important, and as well as the top 5 cities are also Hamburg and Düsseldorf and Frankfurt to consider to go. And if you want to expand, you should consider all the cities.
That makes sense. So Berlin is kind of the name that everybody knows, but it sounds like there's more spending power in Munich. Is that because there's more business and industry there?
Yes. Bavaria is a very rich region in Germany, and Munich is a very interesting city as of industry, and also because of the living area there. You have the south with Italy. It's very nearby, and it's really industrial. The car industry is there very, very strong, and that's why it's a very rich city.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, so Moritz, from your point of view, based in Berlin, what does the retail landscape look like in Berlin right now?
Vibrant and dynamic, I would call it, because we were very happy to see demand of retailers coming back. This year marks the year where a lot of international retailers especially reopened stores or kind of reactivated their expansion activities to Germany in general and in Berlin especially. So we are facing a vibrant and dynamic retail scene and environment again. Berlin is, we're happy to see that Berlin is again on the list of very interesting concepts.
So I know it's a big country, but are there some certain locations, both in Berlin and in other major cities, certain, shopping centers or neighborhoods that are the hot places to go right now? And either of you, I don't know who wants to take that one.
You have to say Germany is not really the shopping center country. Our customer prefer to go into the city on the street, and so the streets are more important than shopping centers. Moritz will say something about Berlin. There we have a lot of shopping centers. It's the city of shopping centers in Germany, if you can say it. But Munich, there is no inner city shopping center which is relevant. We have some shopping centers around, but the city center is the most important. And we have the highest frequent street. The highest frequency street is the Kaufingerstraße, the main consuming street, which is together with Cologne and Zeil. Every year, the three of the streets have the highest frequency, and these are the main consuming area. And then we have like the Maximilianstraße, which is the luxury area in Munich, the luxury street. And in between, we have some interesting cities like Theatinerstraße, Weinstraße, where you have a mix of consuming and luxury. So, but the city and the streets are the most important for shoppers.
I love that. I much prefer to shop on a street than in a shopping center. Unfortunately, I live in the wrong country for that because Americans love shopping centers more than anything else, as I'm sure know if you've ever visited. It's a love affair.
You did.
So a question you brought up: luxury. Is Germany a strong market for luxury brands? Are there a lot of luxury shoppers in Germany?
It has changed a little bit. I mean, of course, we have some changes in touristic. The tourists have been a high part of the shopping of the luxury shopper, and because of political changes and after COVID, the tourism changed a little bit and decreased. But so the main luxury shopper are the Germans by themselves, of course, parallel to the luxury. For example, in Munich, we have a lot of Asian tourists who come there and spend a lot of money. Or in Frankfurt, for example, because of the aircrafts and the travelers who are crossing Frankfurt. And the luxury market is high, but a little bit different. Also, it's not like in Asia, of course. The turnovers are not comparable at all. And also, it's not in every city the same. We have Munich is very strong in luxury. The same as in Düsseldorf and Frankfurt. Berlin also has luxury, but it's not the main part in Berlin, I would say so. My colleague,
you're absolutely
you want
right.
to correct me?
No.
So it's really different.
What are so of the types of retailers that are expanding and opening multiple new locations in Germany, what types of retail are you seeing that's expanding right now?
Speaking about Berlin, this year we saw mainly textile retailers. So it was the big clothing companies who had the biggest share of space turnover in the market. And I think that's also generally speaking, or you can compare that to the German results as well, or to the German numbers. So mainly it was the textile, everything that goes along with clothing, also shoe concepts, The sneaker business is big in Berlin, especially since it's a very fashion affluent city. So also the sneaker game was a big game to play, and we saw several brands opening concepts like those. That was within the industry, the branch that had the highest volume of activities in the market, I can say.
And go ahead.
I just wanted to say and not only international companies entering the market, also companies who are already on the market, they decided to move or to expand. And a big retailer who expanded very much was the Inditex Group. They opened with a lot of new concepts also here, and they have leased a lot.
So for most folks that aren't familiar, Inditex is Spanish multinational. So their biggest brand is
Sarah.
Zara, right? I don't know why I was blanking on that. So in addition to Zara, there's probably a bunch of other brands that you have in Europe that we don't even have, that haven't come to North America. So is it all just different? I mean, what are some of the other brands they're expanding with?
Yeah, I would drop the name of the bestseller group from, for example, coming from the Scandinavian countries and operating like it's a multi-brand group which operates several retail concepts in the high streets of Germany. So they've been expanding a lot as well. One of our biggest German textile brands is the clothing company C&A. They also restarted their expansion activities and were playing a vivid role in the market, as well as the Spanish brand Mango, for example. They kind of returned or reactivated their activities because they've already been to the German market, and now they started expanding again. So that's a well-known player in our country who is now even more present than in the past. And maybe also to name another international brand more known to the European countries, I guess, is TK Maxx. They've also been quite active, and we saw some new locations from them. So these would be the first names that I would throw in.
And I'll just have to put in that we have TK Maxx in North America, but here it's called TJ Maxx because I don't. There's some legal reason behind they had to change the J to a K. I don't know why, but yes, that's
good that they are known as well.
Or maybe pronunciation reasons. You don't know because it's difficult for us to pronounce.
That's a good point. I heard a story once that it was somebody had, I think in the UK, had the legal copyright for TJ Maxx. So they said, well, if we just change the J to a K, it's the same logo. It looks the same. I've been in the stores in England before. It's the same store. So
okay, cool.
Okay.
So we've got a number of expanding retailers right now in Germany. Are they struggling to find space? What are vacancies like?
Yeah, when I start with Munich, it's very challenging to find space in the locations or in the areas you want to be, because we have definitely more demand than offers or vacancies. And it's, of course, you can find space, but it can take a long time. That's why we always recommend some clients came to us and say, we just want to start in Munich, and we're only searching Munich for the first store. And then we always recommend consider also the other cities to go to and to search parallel, because Munich, you need patience and you need time and a lot of money. So just don't focus on one city, go with the other cities parallel.
That makes sense.
And maybe to continue answering that question for the local market of Berlin, and maybe James, you need to help me out with the right pronunciation, but the polycentricity.
Polycentricity. Okay, yeah.
Polycentric, because
polycentric. Multinodal or something like that, right?
That's what we not only see for the market of Berlin. It has different market areas within the city. That also characterizes the retail market in Germany, as Aniko said, that we not only have one relevant retail market in the capital of Germany, but also big 5, big 7, big 10 cities that are relevant and that provide really good numbers when speaking of retail. So, but bringing it back to Berlin, being a city that not only has one relevant retail market, but we count in total, we count around 7 high streets in Berlin, which is special amongst the German cities, that is to say. And you can also from an historical view, you can divide the city into an eastern and a western part when you look at it. And within those two markets, we have high streets and city centers where people go shopping. So that's interesting when looking at Berlin and when advising our clients where to where to choose a location. So, for example, the western part of Berlin used to be more or still is the more kind of well-established part, where you have international relevance, high footfall, and higher purchasing power compared to the eastern part of the city. But the eastern part is more characterized by youngsters, hip, international crowd, expats who are working in, especially more in the eastern part of the city of Berlin, where I would say the kind of the .com industry, for example, and the media and culture scene is more present. So that also influences the brand environment, or the environment of the way how people live and what they shop for. And so young, fashioned, hip labels more tend to go to the eastern part of the city, whereas international brands who aim for a location in a mass market position, they would more target for the western part of the city. And that's interesting and always individual with every client we are happy to serve, to kind of to work out where they find their target customer and where they are best positioned in the diverse retail scene, even of Berlin.
So are rental rates, do they vary significantly from city to city and, high street to high street? I mean, do you see a big variety of asking rents?
You can answer if you want.
Okay, starting with Berlin, yes, there is. And also maybe continuing what we just spoke about, the two different parts of the city, that also shows or is displayed by different rental values as well. So in the western well-established part, we have the prime rent in the city, and almost, Aniko can gladly continue when speaking about the prime rents in Germany in general, but Berlin has in a certain part of the high street also nearly one of the prime rents that's comparable to the German prime rent, whereas the eastern part is kind of 50% of the prime rent that we see in the western part. So yes, to answer your question, there's quite a range, and that also depends how we advise retailers where to go and what location they aim for, and for which customers they aim there.
Looking at the top rent in the best frequented street, Munich is the number one, and we are counting the top seven, when we compare the top seven cities in Germany, it's a range, let's say around 100 euros per square meter, but they are all over 200, and in Munich we have 340 square meter as a prime rent. But it's varying a little bit, but mostly it's stable. But between the top cities, it's not that much if you see it in total. So the top store is there's not such a big difference between the country, between the top cities.
I see. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, okay, so let's talk, and Aniko, this is probably a good one for you. Let's say there's a new foreign brand that wants to open locations in Germany, and they are just starting to explore the market. Do they often have misconceptions or things that you have to educate them about the market?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. First of all, you have to explain the structure, as I said, that we have a lot of top cities and not only the capital, which is of interest. And secondly, what I also said, consider all the interesting cities on parallel, not only focus on one city. And the third question is, where's your target client, where we have to locate it, and also you should not consider all the cities parallel. There are some brands which should start in Berlin because they fit to Berlin. Berlin is very style. It's open for new concepts, and it's depending on the brands, and and sometimes they are it's not easy to open a store here in Germany. You need, as I said, patient, and it's also not cheap. We have our rents are high. We have some obligations by the government, which are like building permissions are taking a long time, and not and some landlords are difficult to convince for a new concept. So it's also very regional and very local, and every city of the top 5 or top 7 cities has its specialties. And that's also why we have teams in every city, because they are sometimes so different that it's really important to have their local advice as of the city. And if we look to Berlin, nobody knows where to go between east and west. You need somebody to explain. And especially if companies come, if foreign companies come, and for example from Asia or China, they are not used to how difficult it is to get the right space here. And because of these points I said, and also in some cities we have the old buildings in the city center, so it's not sometimes not the perfect store. It's not a shopping center where we can cut out the perfect store. You have to accept the buildings and the structure of the buildings, and maybe you have to adapt your concept a little bit and your space. And especially in Munich, you have to be really flexible if you want to have a store in best location, and you have to have a little bit of money.
Or maybe a little bit more than just a little bit. Maybe you need a lot of money.
Yeah.
What are there cities that it seems to be easier to get a lease done than others? It's probably, if it's a historical building, that kind of slows it down a lot. But other than that, though, does it seem about equal in terms of the difficulty in executing a deal?
I think I would say Munich is really difficult to get a space. It's a special, but the other cities, no city is really easy to get space. Or you don't want to go there if there is empty space. It's not entry. But
Right.
if you compare the interesting cities, you have your challenges in every city, more or less. But to find the right space is not easy, but possible. But you have to search a little bit.
How would, and maybe both of you can answer this one, how do you think the German consumer is different than, say, European consumer in another country? Do you feel? I guess we talked a little bit about luxury spending, but are there other things that are kind of unique to the German shopper?
Maybe if I start with Berlin, I cannot really say what your question points to, because Berlin is maybe because of that it is not a specific buying behavior, because Berlin is a very international, very open-minded city. So it's not a city where, maybe not the typical German city to say so, because it was always used to foreigners. It's very easy for foreigners to kind of get along. And that's why it provides, I think, a good market environment for international retailers, because when you traveling Germany, you definitely travel the capital of the city, of the country, sorry. You find a very international environment, and that's why it's not specific and not really characterized by a specific buying behavior, for example. But if you travel to smaller cities within the country, then I would say you have more local shoppers buying goods, and that's why maybe the share of international concepts varies a little bit from city to city. When becoming smaller or less internationally renowned, then the share of international concepts is lower.
Some challenges are Also, the Germans are very difficult to to know the German fashion needs, and some retailers. I just say what some retailers say. I wouldn't agree, but they say the Germans are not the most fashionable people or the fashionists. And also there's some difference between the south and the north if you go in style and also city by city. Every city has a specialty. I mostly say, for example, Düsseldorf is very bling bling, and Munich is more old money, as you say at the moment. Berlin, as Moritz say, is more open to new trends. Hamburg is very Nordic, so it's really difficult. And for some companies, they are a little bit afraid if their brand will work for the German customer, and some had also to adjust their styles a little bit. For example, the Sigual is a very good example, because they have really south styles for warm weather and very colorful. And in Germany, the German people are not so colorful, and also the weather is not so nice. So they adapted now their style a little bit, and they have adapted it to the Germans. And second, on the other hand, the Germans want to have quality, but also they look on the price. So it's sometimes really difficult for new brands entering the market, and especially convince the customer here.
Yeah, that's interesting. How it varies, not just from country to country, but city to city as well. Okay. We didn't talk about restaurants. Are you seeing a lot of expansion from restaurant chains in any cities in Germany?
Aniko, you want to go first?
Yeah, we have a lot of demand for restaurants, a lot. I think similar to other countries and cities as well. But the vacancies are difficult because there are rare vacancies, and to convert retail space into gastronomy space is difficult. And second, we have some troubles regarding employees and staff for restaurants. So it's challenging for restaurants to get the space and then to open and to run the space. These are some difficulties we are facing at the moment, but the demand is high. And what we have seen, the people are spending a lot for restaurants. Even if they have to save, they go out for eating. But Moritz, maybe you want to add something.
Yeah, I gladly take over, because the gastronomy game is quite popular in our city. So we saw on the one hand not only nationwide operating gastronomy chains opening further locations, but also international concepts coming to the city. And so Berlin always was or is popular as a city to go out and as a city for nightlife. And so it was also always relevant for gastronomy concepts to be present there. And the one thing goes along with the other. So it's a nice city to explore culture and shopping, but also to explore nightlife and going out. And that's what people always used to love in the city, and that what serves the demands of people's needs to show cool new concepts, also in the gastronomy scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think Berlin nightclubs are sort of globally known, right? I hear about people who...
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one that is listed in the top clubs worldwide. That's why we have a...
Is it Wareheim? Is that...
Yeah, it starts with a B, but you're well informed. Yeah.
Wareheim. I heard a podcast about it. Yeah,
correct. And Lady Gaga was having their after party, for example, there, and it's correct. It's a special place, and also part of the vibrant cultural scene of the city. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I heard a great podcast about it. Sounds like a fascinating place. I don't think they would ever let me in, though.
Let me know when you're in the city. We gladly try together.
Okay. I need probably some black leather, though, right?
You're well informed, James.
You,
Yeah,
you will
maybe
find it in
we-
Berlin.
Correct. First, I take you to the right places to shop your outfit, and then we go for party.
No wonder people come to Berlin from around the world. It's so much fun. Okay. Aniko, I want to ask you about the MAPIC conference, which for folks that aren't familiar, it's an annual European retail real estate conference that, as we're talking, is just about to happen. So as you're going to that, you're going to be meeting with real estate folks from all over, well, really all over the world that are convening in France. What do you think people are going to be talking about? What's sort of the hot topics around retail real estate in Europe right now?
I think one of the hottest topic I compared to if you look at Europe, the last year it was the eastern part that it's so strong, east of Europe, and I think it will be. I'm curious if it's the same this year, and what they think about Germany, and I think the most topics will be also the economy in Germany, how it will go on. What we think will be the impact, and what retailers think will be the impact, or if there will be an impact, and also some political changes we are facing. I mean, of course, in the US and also in Germany, we have a change ahead. So, and I think these will be the highest topics, because at the moment the retail demand is still ongoing, and we have a really, really good demand. So we don't see any signs of crisis or changes or influences. So it will be interesting to see the outlook, how retailers will evaluate these changes for the next year.
Gotcha. So we're cautiously optimistic about the economy. We feel pretty good about that. Obviously, there are question marks around politics, which there always are, but it sounds to me like overall retail in Germany is in a pretty good place.
Yeah, I think we can agree with that.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a fascinating conversation. If folks want to learn more about your team, they can head over to jll.com, and there's a drop down where you can go to Germany retail, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, of course. And they can find out more. Or Aniko, folks can meet up with you at the MAPIC conference. Yeah. Excellent.
Happy to meet.
Excellent. So Aniko Korsos, Moritz Scharbatke, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And
thanks to you as well, James. Thanks.
Excellent. And for folks out there, they can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app. We're also on Spotify. Just search for Where We Buy and hit subscribe or follow wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you want to see more retail research, head over to that same website, jll.com. There's a whole research section. And if you've got specific questions about retail, shopping centers, or retail real estate, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just go on LinkedIn and search for James Cook, JLL. All right, that's a wrap.